holding stuff, but I want to hear you all hoot and holler for our newlyweds.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to the Torgo Entertainment YouTube channel. Torgo here. Welcome back to another gig log, and welcome back to not just one wedding, but two.
Hey. Hello, officer. Good to see you again. Yeah. We have had a doozy of a day. A real doozy.
That's actually a bit of a misnomer for this video. This video will just cover one wedding, but I do have back-to-back weddings this weekend. And I can say that future tense because I'm filming this on a Thursday. I just loaded the car because the first wedding we have this weekend, the one for this gig log, is a Friday wedding, and I have to leave at 8 a.m. for this wedding. But I'm getting ahead of myself just a little bit because today, or tomorrow, we celebrate the wedding of Ben and Meg. I don't want to harp on this too much, but it is worth mentioning. The reason I have this wedding and the one for Saturday of this weekend, along with 4 other ones, so 6 total, the reason I have these, which are all All-Star Entertainment subcontracted weddings, is because the DJ that they had assigned to those weddings died. Late last year during the holidays, I got a call from All-Star Entertainment saying that they had a DJ who had passed away and that they had to get all these weddings filled, and he had quite a few. I was the nearest DJ, even though I'm quite far from these weddings, so I took on 6 of them. I would have taken more, but a lot of the other dates were dates I was already booked. So I take it as more of a high-pressure situation. This couple has already had to deal with a DJ transition, so now I have to be especially on top of my game, you know? Because I wasn't their guy. I wasn't the DJ that they had picked, why they had chosen that company. And it's not even my company. So that's a very unfortunate circumstance, but we're gonna make the best of it. We're still gonna treat these like any other wedding, and we're gonna have ourselves a really good time. For this first wedding for Ben and Meg, we head to Old Forge, New York at a place called the Fieldstone Lodge. Let's go to the map and show you exactly where that is. 4 hours away. Whoo, buddy. And that's not even the farthest I have to go for a wedding this year. But check this out, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we have this drive for the wedding for this gig log, but then I have to drive an additional 2.5 hours to get to the Saturday wedding this weekend. And I can't go home in between, there's not enough time. I've been doing this for 12 years, I've done back-to-back weekends before, I've never done a back-to-back in one shot travel-wise. Fortunately, the setups for both of these weddings are pretty similar, although they are a little bit involved. We have 3 setups. Ceremony has a setup, cocktail has a separate setup, and reception has a 3rd setup, not just for this wedding, but for the Saturday wedding. For the Fieldstone Lodge, however, even though it's 4 hours away, I still made it a point to check it out a month or 2 ago, so let's case this joint.
I thought you said the library was closed, Frank.
This is what they call casing.
Okay, so this is the ceremony location. These chairs and table will be gone, obviously. The main parking area is up there. This staircase is actually the bridal path, the aisle. They're either gonna come from up there, because there's a cabin on the right side right up there, or they're gonna be coming from here, I'm not sure which. I am gonna be tucked right here in this little nook. No one's gonna be using these stairs for anything. They might be getting married here or here. But either way, I'm gonna be tucked right here. It's gonna be really nice. No power here, so I'm just gonna have to bring the power inverter right on the water. And this path down here takes you to everything else. Where those people are, those are the owners right there, this reception.
Space, and there will be a big center.
I can definitely work with this. And cocktails right here. Perfect. Cocktail hour, half-2 ceremony up there. So besides the new scenery, obviously, a part of the state I definitely don't DJ in, this is actually my first Adirondacks area wedding, The setup's more or less the same. I'm not bringing a subwoofer just so I can conserve space in the car because the Saturday wedding has a ton of uplighting, and so I needed to bring that, so I couldn't bring the subwoofer. But again, this is an outdoor wedding, so a subwoofer would be absolutely pointless. A huge help for me is that this venue is providing a table. I cannot tell you how annoying it is to bring a table to venues. I don't mind so much, but for me, the table is the most difficult thing to pack because of the surface of the table. It slides around a lot. You gotta kind of stick it on top of everything or underneath, and if it goes underneath, it's gonna carry everything around. I hate carrying tables if I can avoid it. I try to make sure that a venue has one. It's few and far between, so I'm happy this venue has one. So as I said, I'm leaving at 8 a.m. I'm not expected to be there until 1 o'clock. The wedding itself is 4 to 10. I'm getting there early because I don't know what the traffic is going to be in the Adirondacks. It's the summertime. And my friend Adam, who does some behind the scenes stuff regarding making the lists for the top 10 videos, he helps out with that. He occasionally goes to some of my events. He is concerned, because he knows travel more than anybody I know, that this is vacation season for a lot of people in that area. So there's gonna be a lot of traffic, particularly in the town of Old Forge, which I do have to drive through. So I'm giving myself an extra hour. I am not taking any chances, and if I get there a little bit early, look, I'm not gonna have any problems with additional time to set up because I'm doing both of these weddings this weekend by myself. I'm really not a fan of doing these ones by myself in particular. This wedding is gonna have quite a load in because I have to be on top of a hill and it's gonna roll everything down on the cart, which is gonna be fine, but I'm really dreading that load out with the cart and having to roll everything uphill. That's gonna suck. But because this is a Friday wedding and I have to leave so early, people just can't get off work, so I'm gonna have to do both of them by myself. I'm not gonna make anybody drive up and do the Saturday wedding either. That's absolutely ridiculous. But even though I don't have an assistant, you're gonna come along with me on this one, so I hope you enjoy. Very curious how this is gonna play out. The only musical challenge that this wedding provided was that for the ceremony, Ben and Meg wanted some songs that were popular pop songs, you know, Ellie Goulding, How Long Will I Love You, Ed Sheeran, Perfect, stuff that everybody has. But the instrumental versions, and that's tricky because as far as I could tell, it is extremely difficult to acquire those legally. So what I had to do is I had to find an app online that was able to do some AI modification and get rid of the vocal tracks. And I found one. I know LalaL.ai is very popular. I know there's some other ones. Spleeter is another one. But Melody.ml is the one that I found works the best for what I needed, at least for these particular songs. Not a sponsored video. They have no idea who I am. But you can do your first 2 songs free. You just plop in your file that you already have and you can split it into vocals and instrumental, or it'll actually give you stems, you know, bass, drums, etc. I know Virtual DJ 2021 does it in real time. However, I have still not upgraded to Virtual DJ 2021, mostly because I have not had the time to actually mess around with it and get it to where I'm comfortable with it yet. So maybe this was just a moot point. However, I found a solution and it worked out. The only other thing is their last song of the night, quote unquote last song. So 9:40 or so is gonna roll around and they're going to want to have their last dance, just the 2 of them, no guests allowed, and it's gonna be where the ceremony was. So I'm allowed to film it, so I'll bring my camera with me. However, my concern is I still have everything set up for the reception. So I have to make sure that the sound is gonna get over there. And that's where my Sennheiser transmitters are gonna come into play. You saw these in a previous gig vlog for this year, and that's exactly what I'm going to use them for. They'll also come into play for the Saturday wedding, but that's another story for another video. So essentially, I'm gonna have 4 setups: the ceremony, the cocktail hour, the reception, and a small 1-speaker setup for the end of the night, and have it daisy chained via the transmitter to my reception setup. So it's a little bit tricky, especially a lot of hoofing around for one person, but I hope I can handle it. I think I can handle it. So grab your bug spray, strap yourselves in, and I hope you're ready. Let's go. But you know, in the morning after a good night's sleep. All right, just got out of Wegmans. I had a good night's sleep. It's a little later than I want it to be, about 20 after 8. I needed to get my last thing for the whole weekend, and that is a water supply. Never go thirsty. You always gotta stay hydrated, especially when you have weddings outdoors. Let's go. You want to talk about a long lead up to a venue, this is it. And not only that, and I learned this when I visited the venue a couple months prior, the Google Maps location is not the actual venue. That's too far, it's a different location, and when you have all these windy roads, yeah, I'm so happy I came ahead of time because I learned where the freaking place was. Unfortunately, I got there, as you can see on the GPS footage, about 1:15, a little later than I wanted. Thank you, Watkins Glen event traffic. But once I got there and ended up cha-chaing around all the driving, I learned, oh, there's a truck there, and I need to load in. Here's a map of the area, and you can't really tell what's going on because it's zoomed that far out, but here's the reception area denoted by the star. And I don't know if you can really tell where I am per se, but see that line? Yeah, I'm at the top of that hill, at the top of that line. I gotta lug all my stuff down this hill, and it doesn't look that bad on camera, but it was an absolute nightmare to deal with, let me tell you what, especially because it was 5 or 6 loads. Going back to the overhead, then we move here. So not only that, the heart is where the ceremony takes place. That's another hoof I gotta do. This triangle is the cocktail location. So then I gotta walk, you know, everything over to the cocktail location. That's the speaker with the transmitter in it. Then I gotta huff everything over to the ceremony location. And then I tear it all down, and then come the end of the night, I take the green line, set it up again where the ceremony was for the end dance. Whoo, buddy! It's a long haul, but we did it. Here is, I should say I did it. Here's the reception location. They have that giant tent in the clearing right on the water. As you can see, there's the head table directly across from me. And there's the cocktail location. So we'll start off here with the Dragon front boards facade, the Reetmo pattern. I have it on this terracotta color, which is one of the colors they had for their pattern. I have the code right there, but they chose green afterwards. There's the green. I gave them the option. I showed them both, and they liked the green better. The QSE K10.2 tops. We got some scrim. We have the ADJ Focus Spot 3Zs, and we have the DMX Terminator in the end, so we don't have any loose signals going around. The ADJ 5P hex up top of the pre-wired truss. And we have the Element Hex Par at the base of it. Just some standard speaker scrim, as I said. The UB12 hexes lighting up the facade. This table was provided. It's a big, beefy table. There's my request book, my iPad running the Airstream app. We have my ADJ PowerBar 65 with some plugs. That is my plug for my iPad. There's my mic rack because my mic stand because the mic stuff's all up for ceremony. There is the Roland DJ 808 Virtual DJ 2020 off my Samsung Odyssey Z notebook. Audio Technica ATH M50X headphones. Airstream DMX bridge. Water bottle. I keep the bridge a little higher up. And there is the not the DMX, the XLR transmitter from Sennheiser. So we go over to where the cocktail hour is through these benches, through the cornhole area. I didn't have to wire all this, fortunately. The venue took care of all the extension cords. That would have taken so much more time. At least they were grateful there. So here's cocktail hour area. And here's where I decided to put the Bose S1 Pro for cocktail hour. There's the other transmitter, and I have it charging right now because, surprise, this was dead, and I have it in a Ryobi battery just to get some charge going. It ends up being more than enough after charging for like 30 minutes. That thing charges pretty quick. There's cocktail hour location, more walking, and here's the ceremony spot. They're gonna get married right on that diamond pattern on the stone, and I'm tucked away in this corner right here with my Samsung Chromebook with all the music, my Yamaha 10-channel mixer for ceremony, and we have my Furman power strip inside my big old mic rack with the Shure ULX D4 microphones. We ended up using a lapel microphone for the efficiency today. X stand, and we have my power inverter from Yeti. And here we have the other Bose S1 Pro locked and loaded with ready to go. You can see the videographer stuff in front of me. They insisted on being in front, so I'm tucked away, so I ended up missing a cue or two. But, you know, it is what it is. We only have time for one more thing. It is super hot today, and in this little corner is where I get to change, which means we only have time for one more thing in this sauna. That's right, it's time to level up. It is an absolute oven in this room, and yes, I'm using my phone as a mirror so I can get myself ready. Let's go!
By the power vested in me by the internet and the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Then you may kiss your bride.
Please make as much noise as you can for your newlyweds, Mr. and Mrs. Ben and Meg Potter! And give your newlyweds a huge round of applause, everyone!
We'll just keep doing it and eat the whole cake.
There you go.
Just close your eyes and you can see that we are where
And I'm back. The morning after. I'm actually in North Creek, New York in a motel. This is the only place that had any sort of availability for 100 miles from the venue, at least in the direction that I needed to be. So I had to drive an hour 10 additional from the venue last night to stay here, and I'm still an hour 20 away from tomorrow's wedding. But as for yesterday's wedding, it went pretty well, all things considered. The load-in was tough, but I managed it even by myself. It's really fun watching all these guys, you know, do the whole machismo locker room talk about how big and bad they are. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there quietly loading all this equipment, just packing it all up. A couple of them was like, I think they felt a little threatened, but that's okay. Now, I always make the itinerary with the couple well before the wedding. Unfortunately, they changed it without letting me know about it. So I get there, and the venue owner shows me the itinerary, and it's very different from what I had anticipated. The order that they had decided on made no sense. They had the cake cutting right after dinner, and that is just a death knell for weddings. You don't want to cut the cake right away because for a lot of people it signifies that the night is over. They don't want to really hang out that much more. Maybe they felt because it was such an isolated place, and I think a lot of the guests were actually staying there, that they could get away with it. I think they just wanted cake and get it over with. But again, you gotta tell me. I have an itinerary, I have a plan, I need to know what's going on. The ceremony went off pretty well, although I didn't like that the videographer kind of shoved me in the back so I could not see what was going on, so I missed a cue. When one of the groomsmen's friends escorted out their dog, Yukon, I had to cue the instrumental Dean Martin song, but I missed the cue because I didn't see where he was and the dog was running down the aisle. So I was a little late on that, but other than that, and the fact that at the end of the ceremony, I was waiting for the officiant to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Potter," didn't happen, so I'm sitting there hovering over the play button, ready to go, waiting for him to say something. Then they take a step, I was like, oh, well, I guess we're going now. Again, I made the best of it, but I don't like when things change, because everyone's going to automatically blame me if things go awry just a hair. The dancing wasn't as much as I had hoped for, but we still had a decent amount. I was very amused by the two camps over what happened yesterday, which yesterday's wedding was June 24th. You can Google that on your own time. But you definitely had the camps where they were okay with it, and the camps that were not. And the camps that were not were definitely leaning towards having me play, like, Believe by Cher, and Montero by Lil Nas X. You catch my drift? You get what I'm saying? Alright, cool. And I'm definitely falling in the camp of number 2. So I was more than willing to comply, and they were dancing. But overall, Ben and Meg, they told me they had a fantastic time. When you have an outdoor wedding, I don't know what's been going on with all the weddings this year, it was much more sprawled out, and Ben told me that they liked having the dance floor there because they wanted people to have the option. If they didn't want to dance, well, they had the cocktail hour set up about 100, 150 feet away, they had yard games, they had the entire property, so people were just kind of sprawled out to their heart's content doing what they had to do. The end of the night, I was shocked that my Bose S1 Pro, well, not so much the speaker, but the Sennheiser transmitter was able to reach as far as it did. Now granted, there was a little bit of crackle, a little bit of cutout during their last dance on the dock, but I was able to just play it from the DJ booth, so that ended up working out great. Of course, the issue with that is, which seems to be a trend for the entire night, I could not see what was going on, so I had to guess. So they said wait about 5 seconds and then play the last song, and that's when they did the sparkler send-off up the stairs to the Queen song. And they ended up ending the night early. I think they were just all tired and there were bugs out and they just wanted to end it, and some of the old people wanted to go to bed. So instead of ending at 10 o'clock, we ended up ending at like 9:20. Not the worst thing in the world. I ended up being okay with it because I had a lot of stuff to tear down. I essentially had 4 setups over the course of the night. I had a ton of stuff, and all the vendors were trying to get out at the same time, and they were blocking that ramp. I was able to drive down and load out at that point, but I couldn't pull the car too close, so I had to pack everything up, avoiding all the people that were getting rid of all the other stuff, mainly the chairs and the decorations. So it took me a lot longer than I was hoping. I think it took like an hour 45 to get out of there, which is very long for me, but that was just more of the nature of the setup than anything else. Playlist will be at the tail end of this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Torgo with Torgo Entertainment. I apologize for the weird setup. This is the only place in this room that has decent enough light for filming, and there's a nice little bookshelf in the background. But today, I have another wedding, and I'm going to see you and tell you all about that in the next gig log. Take care. Attend them in the office. Tap, tap.